I spent most of my childhood in a hospital bed. I was diagnosed with childhood cancer in second grade. The specific type was acute leukemia. Although treatment with chemotherapy put me in remission, I had been admitted and discharged from the hospital 8 times by the time I graduated from middle school. At first, friends who used to visit me gradually dwindled, thinking, is she back in the hospital again? And when I returned to school, I found it hard to fit back into the already formed groups. I could say my school days were some of the darkest times of my life. I didn't hate studying, but it was hard to keep up with my class. I'd easily get a fever if I overexerted myself, so pulling all-nighters for exams was something I just couldn't do. With such academic struggles and physical vulnerabilities, I opted for correspondence high school. I don't need to go to school, so I had a lot of free time. That's when I took up crafting, which would drastically change my fate. I started with making dolls out of wool felt. The first hedgehog I made, I thought was pretty cute, but the feedback from others wasn't all that great. Especially, my brother Mike's comment was pretty harsh.
What's that? A naked kid mole rat?
A naked mole rat? Is it that weird? Isn't it cute?
Nope. Far from cute.
He is always straightforward about everything. In his words, he's a man who can't lie. That's probably why his unfiltered feedback ignited a fire in my competitive spirit. When I get into something, I tend to dive in without thinking of the consequences. Holding onto my needle for hours every day, I'd often get nagged by my mom, warning me to take it easy so I wouldn't feel sick again. I bought books to study, watched countless videos to emulate techniques. I even attended craft classes at a local craft store in the neighborhood. All this effort seemed to pay off as I began to feel more confident in my skills.
Well, this lion is pretty cute. Kinda looks like a character from a donut shop. Can I have this?
Inside, I cheered. I won. I got my brother to say it was cute. How about I attach a keychain ring to it so you can hang it on your back?
What? You can do that?
Yeah, it's easy. I'll get it done. Come pick it up tonight.
Got it.
I think Mike and I get along better than most siblings. I've always felt that I've caused him a lot of trouble due to my illness. When I fell ill in second grade, he was just starting middle school. I believe he still needed our parents' support, but my mom spent most of her time with me at the hospital, and my dad was swamped with work. My mom once said she was grateful that Mike was such an easygoing kid. He has the skill to handle just about everything on his own. But I believe that skill is something he acquired so as not to bother our parents who were already overwhelmed with my situation. Even now, when my mom and dad are away for the weekend, he'll whip up lunch for me.
It's sandwiches today. Lily, you need to eat lots of veggies, carrots and lettuce, and they's egg.
No meat.
I didn't feel like going shopping, but in exchange, I've added a special sauce I made.
Our conversations are always playful like this, but I've always appreciated his kindness. One day, I saw several books about overcoming cancer on his bookshelf. Mike never brings up my illness, but realizing he deeply cares about me brought me to the verge of tears. He said he was going to study biomedical engineering and went on to attend the engineering department in college. And now, he's working in the R&D department of a medical equipment company. He mentioned he loves machines and chose the medical field because it's a secure job market. However, I can't help but think that seeing my struggle with my disease influenced his decision in some way. He attaches the lion keychain I gave him to his bag when he goes to work. One day, as I was crafting felt dolls in my room, he popped in.
Hey, can you make me another keychain like the one you gave me?
Sure. Are you planning to give it to your girlfriend or something?
Girlfriend, I wish I had one. Sadly, it's a guy who asked me for that keychain.
My felt creations have become so popular that they ranked high on handmade selling websites. I managed to graduate high school, but found it difficult to find a job. So, I chose to pursue a path in handmade crafts from home. Now, although I still live with my parents, I earn enough to cover my own living expenses. You can have this one. It hasn't been reserved yet. I picked up a giraffe plushie and he burst out laughing.
Oh, great choice. That looks like something he'd like.
Handing over the giraffe keychain, he happily took it and left. A few days later, I received an email from him. It read that the colleague he'd given the giraffe keychain to wanted to meet and thank me in person. Growing up, most of my life was spent just going back and forth between home and the hospital. So, it was rare for me to interact with anyone outside of my family, let alone have dinner with a stranger. Especially with a man. I had never thought about it. Perhaps sensing my anxiety due to my delayed response, he messaged me, "I'll come with you, so don't worry. If you're coming, it should be okay." I sent an email agreeing to the meetup. 3 nights later, Mike came to pick me up, and we headed to an Italian restaurant. His colleague had arrived before us.
Oh, I'm sorry for imposing on you like this.
The colleague, who I came to know as Ryan, looked more nervous than I did. He stood up and shook my hand. Nice to meet you." Ryan and I greeted each other with movements as stiff as robots, making Mike burst out laughing.
Loosen up, guys. Just say something like, "Hi, I'm Ryan, and I'm Lily," with a smile. It's not an arranged meeting.
Hearing the term arranged meeting, Ryan and I exchanged a glance.
Thank you for this. It's very cute.
My friend here, he's a total science geek. Graduated top of his class from a prestigious university's physics department. And yet, he's got a soft spot for cute things. His desk is surrounded by character merchandise.
Hey, that was supposed to be a secret.
Ryan had an unmistakable air of a scientist about him. He had sharp, observant eyes and slightly nervous, high cheekbones. Seeing him flustered after being outed for liking cute things made his otherwise stern demeanor crumble a bit, making him more endearing. "I'm glad you liked it."
Yes, I really did. I enjoyed tinkering with machines, but I've always been teased by friends for liking figurines and even designing my own clothes.
That sounds quite intense. That conversation became the starting point, and soon Ryan and I were deep in conversation. We talked about future projects and handy tools for crafting. We got so engrossed that we kind of left my brother out. As a result, while Mike was busy munching on his pizza, Ryan and I bonded so well that we planned a trip to a craft store together. According to Mike, when Ryan first joined the company, many female employees had an eye on him. He is handsome, and more importantly, his education suggested he would be destined for success. However, being totally engrossed in the sciences, Ryan seemed to have led a life devoid of romantic pursuits. He lacked the skills to entertain a woman on a date or even show a hint of consideration. This cemented an image of him as a capable yet dull person at work, leading many female colleagues to distance themselves from him. Ryan himself seemed relieved by this, happy to finally focus solely on his job. Mike turned out to be Ryan's only friend at the company. Indeed, Ryan might be a bit different from the average guy. When we went out together, he'd sometimes become so engrossed in something he liked that he'd forget about me, standing transfixed in front of a store shelf, or drift off deep in thought mid-conversation. Yet, that might just be part of his personality. As long as we were crafting together, it didn't particularly bother me. If he went quiet, I'd just silently focus on my own project. This unique relationship of ours lasted for 2 years, until Mike made another of his impactful remarks.
You two spend all your free time together. Why not live together? Heck, why not just get married?
Upon hearing that, Ryan nodded and said, "That makes sense," turning to me.
Lily, will you marry me?
I dropped the needle I was holding in surprise at this sudden proposal, casually made with a cup of coffee in hand. It was completely out of the blue, and there wasn't even a hint of romance in the air. And proposing in front of my brother, of all people. Half angered and half astonished, I stared at Ryan. But this proposal was a desperate ploy orchestrated by my brother. It was meant to push both the hesitant Ryan and the oblivious me, who couldn't recognize his feelings. Shyly, he reached into a bag at his feet and carefully pulled something out. It was a pair of teddy bears he'd made, sitting facing each other. And one of the bears was handing a ring to the other. "Is this?"
I'm not good with words and can't express my feelings well, so I thought I'd let this little guy deliver the ring.
Wrapped around the bear's chest was a ribbon engraved with the words, "Will you marry me?" Of course, my response was yes. So that, his face turned beet red with happiness, and Mike looked as if a huge weight had been lifted from his shoulders. From then on, things moved at a brisk pace. We paid a visit to our parents and set the wedding date. I stitched my own wedding gown, and Ryan crafted the bouquet I carried, as well as the flower to adorn his tuxedo. The wedding was a modest affair held at a restaurant, attended by close family, a handful of my friends, and Ryan's co-workers. It felt just right for us. The ceremony progressed smoothly. My friends sang a playful parody dedicated to us, lifting everyone's spirits. Ryan's colleagues humorously acted out how some female staff would shy away from his over-the-top geekiness while also praising his skills and work ethic. We went around, greeting and thanking all who came. Most folks were telling us, "You two are a match made in heaven and wish you all the best." But out of the blue, we got hit with some unexpected remarks.
Hey Ryan, I just can't get why someone with your great genes would mix with those lesser ones.
I was caught off guard and couldn't make heads or tails of it at first. But then, with a bit too much booze in him, he went on, and I was at a loss for words.
That lady, her education's pretty darn low. Even if she says she finished high school, it was probably some online program, right? And her job, being a craft artist. Isn't that even lower than a part-time gig?
It was something I had been concerned about myself, so I froze when he said it right in front of me. Compared to Ryan, an honor grad from a top state university, I felt like a woman with health issues, lacking in both education and any decent job experience. It felt like we were worlds apart. The guy spouting off, clearly drunk, was restrained by his buddies and escorted out to cool off, but a palpable tension hung in the air. Nonetheless, the party continued, and soon it was Ryan's turn to speak. He was visibly nervous, his hands trembling holding his notes. But unexpectedly, he crumpled that sheet, pocketed it, and began to share his heart.
Thank you all for gathering here today on behalf of the two of us. We're still greenhorns, and in order for us to build a better home and live happily in the future, we need your help and guidance. Please bestow upon us your blessings and guidance.
With that, he looked up with determination.
My wife, Lily, is an incredible woman. It's true she doesn't have a formal education, but there's a reason for that. As some of her close friends might know, she's been battling leukemia since she was a child. Going through leukemia treatment is tough, even for adults. She endured all that pain and suffering at such a young age, and that strong person is Lily. And even after that, despite all the odds, she paved her own path. What connected us was her handmade craft.
Saying that, he pulled out a familiar giraffe keychain from his pocket.
Look at this gentle face. It's a testament to the heart of its maker. And what moved me, which my colleagues will understand, is the pattern on its back. If you look closely, it forms a beautiful spiral based on the Fibonacci sequence.
Though some in the crowd didn't quite get what he was getting at, his colleagues let out impressed exclamations, while Mike had a wry smile on his face.
She's a genius. It's because she inherently understands what's beautiful that she can create such wonderful things. I believe the genes that inherit my intelligence and her artistic sense are precisely what the next generation should possess. I'm grateful to God for having met such an amazing woman. And I'm also thankful to her brother and my colleague, Mike, for bringing us together.
When he finished his speech, the room erupted with thunderous applause. Surprisingly, among the applause, the loudest claps came from the man who had earlier made a snide comment about my education. Incredibly, that man was weeping as he clapped, shouting, "Lily, you're the best!" As the ceremony concluded and we were seeing off the guests, that same man approached us, looking rather guilty.
I'm so sorry for my rude remarks earlier. Even though I was drunk, there's no excuse for saying such things. I truly believe you're a fantastic person. If you wouldn't mind, could you make me a keychain too?
Sure, I'm not too familiar with the Fibonacci sequence, but I'll give it a shot. The man apologized again and left. The wedding might have had its ups and downs. But looking back, I think it was a truly wonderful ceremony. All of it was thanks to Ryan's heartfelt words. He is not good at public speaking, but I was really happy that he spoke for me like that.
Lily, I'm so happy for you. I guess my duty to protect my lil sis is over now. Now you have Ryan to look out for you.
Yeah, Mike, thank you for everything up until now. That was the first time I shed tears that day. My bro, Mike, who's always done so much for me. I hope from now on, I can do something in return. First, I need to build a happy home with Ryan and make sure Mike doesn't have to worry about me. And if possible, I'd love to help find the perfect partner for him someday.